Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself. My name is Abdul Illah Nahrowi with NIM 226 121 and 222 from 4G class. Okay, here I will explain about material in LLA from material 1 to material 5. For material 1, concept, function, objectives, and procedures of evaluation. The concept of learning evaluation is the process of obtaining data and information needed to determine the action and how the learning that has taken place in order to make judgments and improvements need to maximize the result. Examples like the teachers give multiple choice tests that covers the material that has been learned for one semester. The teachers then corrects the students' answer and gives scores based on the answer key. The teachers also gives feedback to the students about their strengths and weakness in understanding the material. Okay, guys. And the next is the functional of learning evaluation include one, providing information, and that is used as a basis for making policies and decisions of the field of education and teaching. Number two, knowing the level of mastery of students on the material that has been given. Now, number three, knowing the skills, motivation, talents, interests, and attitudes of students towards the learning program. Number five, for assessing the curriculum used in learning. Number five, giving confidence to the school as an education provider. Number six is monitoring the use of funds that have been given for learning. Number seven is improving the materials on education programs. And the next is objectives of evaluation. Number one, determine how far and how long the learning process has gone. Number two, make assessment and improvement needs to maximize result. Number three, become one of the benchmarks of the success the learning process. Number four, diagnosing the strengths and weakness of students in participating in learning activities. Number five is evaluation objectives are also classified into four, namely keeping track, checking up, finding out, and summing up. The next is procedure of evaluation. Develop a learning evaluation plan. 2. Determine and evaluation techniques or methods to collect data. 3. Verifying data. 4. Manage and analyze data. 5. Provide interpretation and draw conclusions. Number 6 is follow up evaluation. Okay, we are going to the next material. The next material is Bloom's taxonomy. Rules and procedures in contrasting a test. Introduction. Taxonomy is derived from the Greek word taxonomy, which means classify, and nomos, which means rule. Taxonomy can be interpreted as the grouping of something based on a certain hierarchy or level. Bloom's taxonomy refers to a taxonomy that was created for educational purpose. This taxonomy was first discovered by Benjamin S. Bloom in 1956. In this case, educational objectives are divided into several domains, and each of these domains is further divided into more detailed division based on their hierarchy. The next is cognitive domain. Cognitive domain, which contains behaviors that emphasize intellectual aspects such as knowledge, understanding, and thinking skills. You can see the Bloom's taxonomy is like pyramid evaluation in top, like evaluation, synthesis, analysis, application, comprehension, and knowledge in the bottom. Knowledge C1. It demands students to be able to recall and understand information they have previously received, such as facts, formulas, problem solving, strategies, like what they received from the teacher. Students can repeat the information they have received. An operational verb for C1. Know, recall, recite, memorize, repeat, record, duplicate, recall, label, copy, name, spell, code. Comprehension 2. or C2 refers to the ability to explain the knowledge or information they have received using their own words, both in writing and verbally. Operational thought for C2 is like explain, discuss, describe, classify, presenting, interpret, predict, and confirm. Application or C3. C3 refers to the ability to use apply to material that has been learned in new situation. This refers to the application of thinking concepts, series of the theories and knowledge, not the application of something in everyday practice. Students can apply their understanding to different or new situations. An analysis in C4. C4 refers to the ability to identify, separate, and distinguish the components of a fact, concept, opinion, assumption, conclusion, and correcting each of these components to see if there are any contradictions. Synthesis or C5. C5 refers to the ability to combine parts of elements and into larger structure. C6 or evaluation refers to the ability to make judgment and decisions about the value of an idea, method, product, or object using certain criteria. Like that. Creating in C6 refers to the ability to create or invent an idea, thinking method, way of thinking, the theory of thinking that is more practical than what already exists. Affective domain. Affective domain contains behaviors that emphasize aspects of feelings and emotion, such as interest, attitudes, appreciation, and ways of adjusting oneself. Receiving or A1. Receiving, it expects students to recognize, be willing to accept, and pay attention to various stimuli. In this case, the students are still passive, just listening or paying attention. Responding or A2. Responding, the desire to do something as a reaction to an idea, object, and or value system. More than just recognition. In this case, students are expected to demonstrate the requested behavior. Valuing or A3. Valuing, appreciation of value is a feeling, belief, or response that question in idea, object, or way of thinking has value. In this case, students consistently behave according to a value, even though there are others who request or require it. Organizing or A4. Organization. It shows the interconnection between certain values in a value system and determines which value has a higher priority and than other values. In this case, the students becomes committed to a value system. Characterizing or E5. Characterization is related to the organization and integration of values in the personal value system. At this level, students have not only accept behavior at a lower level, but have integrated these values into a complete and convincing character. The psychomotor domain. The psychomotor domain refers to the domain of learning that involves psychomovement, coordination, and skill development. It focuses on development of motor skills, manual dexterity, and physical abilities. In this domain, individuals learn how to perform specific action, manipulate objects, and demonstrate physical abilities. The next is imitation or P1, referring to the act of imitation based on a writing, word lines, and visual examples. Manipulation or P2, referring to the mastery of movement without the aid of visual examples, where students are only given written or verbal instruction and are expected to perform the request action. The difference from imitation is the students no longer rely on visual examples but instead rely solely on written or verbal instructions. Precision in P2 and articulation in P4. And the next is naturalization in P5, referring to the ability of students to perform dynamic movements that arise spontaneously, exhausting the movement without thinking about how to do their sequence. Thank you. Next material is material 3, types of the test, strengths and weakness of each types of test. Types of tests. Language tests used for assessing language learning typically fall into several categories, each designed to evaluate different aspects of language proficiency. This defining the purpose that will help choose the right kind of test, and it will also help you to focus on the specific objective of the test. That it have two type. The first is aptitude test. Assess a person's ability to acquire new language skills in the kindergarten. They are not measure of intelligence, but rather a test of person's natural abilities and propensity to succeed in a given activity. And the next is number two, proficiency test. This measures person level of skill in language, independent of how they learn it. They assess overall language proficiency and typically cover speaking, listening, reading, and writing skills. The three, diagnostic test identify specific strengths and weaknesses within a skill set. These tests help teachers and learners pinpoint areas of language that need to be addressed in the syllabus and course design. Number four is placement tests. Placement tests share some similarities with diagnostic tests. They are used for educational purposes and are administered before a course of program study begins. Number five is achievement test. This test measure learners' progress over a period of time. In other words, and acknowledge to show how their learning has progressed. Unlike diagnostics, aptitude, and placement tests, achievement tests only cover information to the student should have been exposed to in their studies thus far. Skill-specific types of language testing. It's like listening, speaking, writing, and reading. Okay, the next material is rules in constructing the test, items, and test scoring. Definition: the importance of rules in preparing questions and material. Regulations in completing and assessing questions are rules or orders established by the government, official agencies, or core organization to recall activities. Obligation or actions that must be carried out. Regulations also help clarify the rules and procedures that must be followed by the parties involved in preparing and assessing questions. Basic principles of preparing test question. One is valid, testing the right material competency, reliable, consistent measure result. Fair doesn't harm certain parties, like has a 3 point A, B, and C. The A is honest, B is balance, and C organization. Number four, transparency. Is it clear what is being tested, the task, and the scoring criteria? Number five is authentic. Must be the result of students' work and be in accordance with the real world. Material. A. Questions must be in accordance with the indicators. B. Each questions must be given limit to the expected answer. C. The material as must be in accordance with the purpose of the measurement. D. The material as must be appropriate for the type of school or grade level. Construction. A. Uses questions, command words that demands an elaborated answer. There are clear instructions on how to do the question. C. Each question must have scoring qualities. D. Table figures, graphs, maps, or the like are clearly present, legible, and functional. Language. The formulation of a question sentence must be communicative, using good and correct Indonesian language or standard. The next is does not cause multiple interperceptions. Does not use local or taboo language. Does not contain word expression that the other often learner. That's rules in constructing the items and the test scoring. The next material is the last material, test and item validity and reliability. Introduction to validity. Validity is the accuracy of measuring instrument in measuring something, whether it's really measurable or not. In addition, the validity test is not only used to measure the validity of the test instrument, but is used to measure the validity of other learning instruments such as teaching materials, learning media, and other learning tools. There's three types of validity. The first is content validity or validity, face validity, and logical validity. The second is construct validity. The third, criterion related validity or predictive validity and concurrent validity. Number one, content validity. This instrument can be said that it meets the content validity of the material to be measured the extent with the material content in applicable curriculum. The second, construct validity. Construct validity is a promo validity that demonstrates how well that a test can accurately measure specific trait or theoretical concept, referred to as a talent variable. Number three is correct criterion related validity. Criterion related validity determined by the correlation between a test score and the score of another test. Analysis item validity on test and non-test instrument. This analysis aims to determine whether each item on the test is a valid item or not. Like examples like there's 5 items of descriptions. Conclusion: establishing validity and reliability is crucial for ensuring the credibility and trustworthiness of research findings. Research must employ multiple methods and consider various factors to accurately establish the validity and reliability of their measures. Okay, I think that's enough for me. Thank you very much and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.